Hey, hey.
Hey, Gary.
Hey, how you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Hey, Cheryl. I'm not bad. I'm not bad. I'm still here.
Gary and Cindy and Jane, I might have to not be able to stay, so I might have to go listen again, but I just wanted to say thanks for doing this, guys. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. You're welcome. Been busy? Yeah.
Okay, remember all that pent up volume we talked about that was going to hit as soon as projects could kick in again?
Yeah.
It's hitting,
Yep.
which is great.
That's good.
That's great.
Good problem to have.
Yes, it is.
It is.
Yeah, thanks for your good words, Cheryl.
You guys, I really appreciate you doing this. Like I said, I missed last week and I felt so bad, so I'm going to have to do the review of it.
We're having so much fun. And hi, Barb. Thanks for your note.
Good morning, guys. No camera one more time.
Hey, hey.
I think that I have a privacy setting that I haven't been able to find.
What do you mean a privacy setting?
Well, I can't get my camera to turn on for your Zoom, but I can certainly do it when I initiate the Zoom.
Well, down the bottom, if you go down and drag your mouse down to the bottom, there's settings for mic and mute.
Oh, yeah. I've done all of that, actually, Gary. Thanks.
But it's not there, huh?
Well, I can alternate the other camera, but it just gives me that warning message. Cannot start video, failed to start the video camera. Please select another video camera in settings. So I only have two. It's obviously not going to work for me.
John, are you sure that your camera is actually connected?
It's built in.
I mean, physically, is it connected? Because I got the same message and I noticed I had not connected my camera.
My camera is built in, and for my Zoom, it works perfectly well. But for your Zoom, for whatever reason, the camera is inhibited.
Sometimes you need to choose the right one, choose which one you want to use.
Done all of that, Fran. Thanks a lot.
Where's Harry?
And I even went to the friendly little Microsoft help thingy, and they weren't able to fix the problem for me either. So anyway, I'll listen very carefully to you and perhaps contribute a couple of comments or so. And then afterwards, I'll beat the hell out of my computer.
That will
I
help.
hate to say this, but have you tried turning it off and back on again?
Oh yeah. Hey, you know what? They're
Poke it in the eye.
suggesting a restart, and you know it's just such a pain in the butt when I have to go down that road.
I know.
And like you said, what's worse though is he said that when he's on his Zoom session, it's fine. It's just when he goes through the Sctc one, that's weird.
Yeah, that is probably the weirdest that I heard.
Yeah, exactly. And if I were to sort of put you guys on hold and open up my own Zoom, the camera would work. Now, what's the difference between these two sets of settings? There's a privacy issue there somewhere that I haven't been able to nail down.
Okay, who's
And
our
I'm all about privacy. That's the job I do. But you know what? Once in a while, it goes over the top.
John, are you running the app or a browser window?
I'm running the app and I tried the browser window, same results.
Yeah. And it sounds like for some reason you've effectively got two instances of Zoom on your computer. One you've got two profiles somehow, but I wasn't aware it could do that, to be perfectly honest. So no idea how you've done that. New feature you've invented.
Yeah, let me just go back and take a shot at that.
Someone's got to mute, guys.
Who's that?
It's F Troop. I love that show.
What show is it?
It's weird.
The hacker, the bomber.
Yeah. By the way, guys, I have to say something. The Canadians up here, the other day I turned on the television. Do you guys remember the Krat brothers? They did Zaboomafoo.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
sure. The animal guys.
Recently, because my daughter used to watch it, I happened to turn on the TV and I see this kids show with these two old guys. They've grown a little bit older since Marika was 3. I had to laugh. Of course, it had nothing to do with me aging.
Nothing at all, Cheryl. No.
Pratt brothers. Yeah, they were, my daughter loved them.
Oh yeah, remember Zaboomaphone?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Zabu.
yeah. We used to
Well,
watch
they still
it
do a
lot.
show on PBS. My son's obsessed with them.
I think there's a cartoon that's still active I run across every once in a while.
Well, you guys heard that Dumbo and what's the other one from Disney Classic is Peter Pan. They're being banned by the general public to say that they are bad for our kids.
What?
Shame.
Dumbo. I'm
Do
struggling
we
with
even want to have that conversation, Gary?
I'm
mean,
bad
are
for
you
our
serious?
kids. I'm not
I mean, they
bad.
took Elmer Fudd off too. You know what I mean? I mean, really?
We all remember, what's the coyote name?
Wiley.
Wiley.
Wiley, yeah,
Coyote.
they took Elmer Fudd off because he had his shotgun.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'll tell you, I just saw a trailer for the new Tom and Jerry movie, and talk about violence.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because we're all over the edge from watching that stuff.
Yeah.
That's what went wrong.
Yeah, that's what it was. It's Disney's fault.
I think Howdy Doody put me over the edge.
How do you do to put me over the edge?
Okay, what was the, remember, not Yosemite Sam, but the two bears, Boo Boo and
Yogi.
Yogi.
Hey, boo boo. How about a picnic basket?
That's a good impression.
We had a
Flat.
consultant in Texas that was on Romper Room.
Yeah, and she could see you through her magic mirror, right?
That's it. Yeah.
Oh
was
my
the Romper Room
gosh,
in
I
New York.
forgot about her.
Miss Barbara or something, wasn't it? Or something like
Miss
that.
Janie.
Oh,
I like when you have someone younger and they actually look at you and you happen, like one time I mentioned Cat Stevens, right? Some song I like. And I remember this person looking at me going, who are you talking about? And I just went, oh, I am just so old.
Ramsey Youssef, right?
And he still sings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Writes
mentioned,
children's books too, doesn't he?
I mentioned Get Smart the other day, Maxwell Smart.
Does he really? I know that George Carlin, didn't he do the children's books?
Oh, he did a lot of stuff. That
He
guy-
did. Yeah, he did. He did a TV series. He did cartoons.
Yeah,
Good time at the train.
The
You guys
train,
ever
that's
seen
right,
him
the train.
live? Anybody seen
I've
Carlin live?
I had the opportunity to meet him twice and actually spend time with him. He's an unbelievable guy.
Yeah,
You met George Carlin?
Oh yeah, twice.
Oh, wow, he was brilliant.
His mind was incredible. I was working at a place up in New Jersey that was a water park in the summer and a ski area in the winter. It's called Action Park. There's a movie out on it
Lawsuit.
called, about the lawsuits. All of that is true, and half of it's covered. There's twice as much as what made it to that movie. But they had him as a stand-up, and I was doing security that night for the extra big crowd. And I actually ran into him at my local deli. He was on his way home, stopping to get something to drink, and I was in, picking up a soda or something. And he's like, "Hey, that guy's following me." And I'm like, "Oh my God, how about that?" And then another time he was performing up there, I actually was responsible for bringing him from the condos into the venue, and I spent 20 minutes with him at the condo, the whole ride down, and 10-15 minutes before the show.
So is this
Unbelievable
before or
guy.
after you were nailed for stalking?
Yeah, he's up here with his thinking.
My all-time favorite was when he did the thing on finding the one shoe on the side of the road. He did I've never laughed so hard. I'd love to look that one up and do it again. Like how a 20-minute dialogue on a shoe on the side of the road.
Yeah.
I'll have to look that up.
He started out doing newscasts as a spoof on newscasts. The hippy dippy weather man with
Yeah,
the hippy
yeah.
dippy weather man.
Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah. I remember Action Park too when I lived in New Jersey, Fletch.
Oh man, Action Park was just a drunken debauchery of.
Yeah.
In the middle of something. I know. But I got a text now. Wait a minute.
I guess we're waiting for Steve Layden, right?
No, I'm here. What are you talking about, Jane?
Hi, Steve. Well, I don't know. I just
We're talking
thought
about
I'd
George Carlin.
interject something.
Oh, no. We're just being social for the moment. That's all.
No, it's great. Oh, you know me. I'm so antisocial, Steve. So
Yes, I do know that, Jane. Yes. Not. That's great. How's everybody handling COVID these days?
Oh, a Bengal kitty. I just saw a Bengal kitty in the background there.
Oh yeah, that's my Bengal.
Yeah, I have a Bengal too.
Do you? I love them. It's my second one. Yeah, I'm
I've
talking
got my
about you.
vaccine scheduled for March the 3rd. Feeling good about that. Hope they don't run out.
Got my first. You know, our one of our VAC members, Primus, is doing some pretty interesting things with COVID scheduling. We've had him present to a couple of our clients, so pretty interesting application they've got.
Hey, Chuck, this is Ryan.
Hello.
Can I inject on that? I think we really need to talk about COVID scheduling. My client had over 70,000 call attempts in 1 hour last week.
Wow.
And if they hadn't realized what was going on and blocked it, they probably would have crashed their entire system.
Well, systems have been crashing all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gary, or just to let you know, my husband was working on a hospital up here. Twice the IT guy didn't know what he's doing and crashed it. Couldn't make it, so the doctors couldn't even make an outgoing call. It was so pathetic. So you're right. If you have people touching the systems and they don't know what they're doing, and especially in a call center application, you just kind of shake your head.
We have people waiting at the call center for cargo, for shipping, for between an hour and a half and 7 hours. 7 hours on hold, these people, and we called them to verify they were actually waiting on hold for 7 hours.
That's
7 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, 4 hours. It's unbelievable.
Was that COVID related, Gary?
Well, what happened was in the second week of December, Forward Air does all the tracking basically for the country, and their system got hacked. And when they got hacked, it was down for 2 weeks. That's why nobody had any tracking numbers for your packages. So at that point, everything had to be hand typed. So our call volumes went through the roof because people were looking for information on where their packages were, and we couldn't find them. So our volume went from 2 million the month before to 3.1 million minutes burned at the same call center because of people on hold. It's unbelievable.
Wow.
So they didn't have they didn't offer a callback option or any error?
Well, even a callback off option goes and holds onto the call pretty much.
No, it doesn't. That depends on whose technology you use, Gary.
5 nines.
Oh, okay, never mind.
So that was one of the drawbacks that we had, and the customer decided that they would get rid of the option we put on for the peak season the year before, which was to drop callers after 10 minutes.
Oh,
Oh God.
That sucks.
Good
customer.
Nothing worse than making somebody hold on and then just cutting them off.
Did they even try the expected wait? So at least you could give them an idea, even if it was
well, we did that. So this one lady, nice lady, we called her up and she says, I was going to make cookies, so I knew it was going to be a wait. So I took my phone and I called, and I heard I was, 12th in queue, and I'm like, oh, that's not too bad. And then she heard she was 4th in queue, and then 2nd in queue, and then she heard she was 28th in queue.
Well, but you don't do that because that gets.
I understand that, but that's what they did. So the calls banged up, and then she sat there and made cookies for 5.5 hours. Finally got answered.
You know what, Gary? This is where people don't think about expected wait based on so many parameters. Oh, don't even get me started. Let's take that offline.
I understand that. So what we've done is we've gone out and we're looking at a IVA right now. There's IVA is supposed to handle everything within 90 seconds. So I don't know if that's going to happen or not. And then the company had a freeze on their code freeze for all their data because they're going to switch to another platform. So we want to look it up by zip code and address because most people don't have a pro number or a reference number. You're not going to have it when you're driving down a road, but everybody knows their zip code. So that's what we're at right now. So hopefully that helps.
You know, that whole thing, it just amazes me how people don't think this through. And it's stuff we've been teaching since 1995.
Yeah, no kidding, man.
We
When
used
you have to
have
go back to
SLA at
Erlang
98%.
tables and
98% SLA. It's down to like -4.
but you have cookies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that lady has cookies. I don't know where she is.
5 hours.
And then you ask which SLA question they're using, because depending on the statistics, right, you don't include abandons or you don't include the callbacks. I love those stats with SLA.
Right. Well, I'm still waiting for a bicycle for my wife. I ordered it November 30th. It was supposed to be here December 23rd.
That's correct. Yeah.
And I had no information on it at all. All of a sudden on December
so this
20th,
is
they
really
tell me the order's been canceled by the company. So then I went back to Amazon, ordered another bicycle, paid $42 more. They told me it's going to be here by the 15th of January. Your package will be here tomorrow. And then I find out your package will be delayed. We'll let you know when it's available.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts.
It is.
So Cheryl, I think we have to introduce another parameter now. ASC, average speed of cookies.
Absolutely. Statistic.
I'm going to add that here.
Etc. Graphs.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, well, it's almost 1/4 after. Let's get started, everybody. Thanks again for joining us for another lively fireside chat. We're getting now on part 2 of our TEM series, and you'll hear some additional great information this week, like you did last week from Denise and Jane and Cindy. So expect more this week, and we've actually now moved it to a 3rd week because it's just so popular and the content is that good. So let me share my screen with you. Actually, yeah, sorry. I'm working on a whole bunch of screens here. I apologize. Okay, so where is my PowerPoint? Okay, so we are, believe it or not, we're on number 41 now. Oh, crap. Hold on, it froze. Why did it freeze? Oh, here we go. Okay. Can you see that? Yes?
You can see it.
Okay, yeah, I thought I might have had it on the wrong presentation, sorry. Okay, so we're on number 41 again. We're covering TEM and auditing this week. A big, oh yeah, that's right. Polling question first. Sorry, I have 2 polling questions for everybody today. So polling question number 1 is, and I'll share this with everybody in a second. In your opinion, what kind of ROI payback period are clients typically looking for when investing in new infrastructure? Okay, so here I'm going to launch the poll. Okay, in your opinion, what kind of ROI payback period are clients looking for when investing in new infrastructure? 12, 24, 36, 48, or 60 months? Okay, and please answer. We'll give it another few seconds here. And the results are very interesting. Okay, let me just end the poll. Let me take a quick snapshot if you don't mind. And I will share the results. So here are the results. So 12 months actually comes in second to 24 months being number 1, very close. 36 months is number 3, followed by 60 months, interestingly, and 1 at 48. So a very interesting poll. We're finding that 36 months is typical for larger enterprise. So we'll see. So now let me launch another poll here. Sorry. I do this every week and I forget how to do this. Okay, so here's the second question. Now, since COVID, March 2020, what kind of ROI payback period are clients looking for when investing in new infrastructure? Has that changed? Here's the poll in question again, 12, 24, 36, 48, 60 months. But again, since COVID has showed up, what has that done to the experience or expectation of clients wanting an ROI period? Give this a few more seconds here. And let me just stop the poll here. Let me take a quick picture. And let me share the results.
I still say 5 months.
You say what? 5 months?
No. I'm doing something else, Steve. I'm working on 2 things at the same time.
Okay, nope, that's fine. Okay, so sharing the results here, and you can see all of a sudden 12 months is now the #1 level of interest amongst clients. And actually, I have 2 clients right now and they're very large healthcare. They're 40,000 endpoints. They're both expecting a payback to pay for new infrastructure within 12 months. So I have that experience going on right now, which is very, very interesting. So that I think gives you some interesting, results as to what's happening. So let me stop that. Let me go to the next point. So recap and happenings. So a big thank you to Denise, Cindy, and Jane last week for kicking off this TEM audit series. A replay is available for, of course, any of the members. I'm going to be talking about POTS in a box in a second. Our Carries Law Task Force continues on Fridays. They're working on documents that will be available soon for sales and positioning purposes. Again, aha moments for this week as you chat in Zoom. And please mute, and again, as we chat, as we continue to mute and chat in the window, and of course, I'll speak up. So there is a POTS in a box I came across with a client this past week. I don't know if anybody has run into this, but it's basically it's a device, okay, that actually uses cellular technology to handle up to 4 POTS lines and expecting around a 40% savings. And it's actually targeted for fire alarms, secure alarms, meters, gas meters, water meters, electric meters, because those are some of the last to go, of course. And yet POTS lines have, in some cases, tripled, if not quadrupled, in price within the last 4 to 5 years. So some of the features include ring downs, compatible with utility meters, faxing capability, battery backup, LTE for cellular carrier, and actually you can have dual carriers on that if that's of interest, and support for legacy faxing. So I have a client right now with over 300 sites. It's a large retailer, large purchases. It's an automotive dealership, actually. It's one of the largest in the nation, and they're looking into this. So that struck my interest. There's an article on No Jitter about it, and actually this is a device that Verizon Wireless actually endorses, so quite interesting. So next week's Fireside Chat, we're going to have Gary on, along with Cindy again and Robert Harris, so we'll be looking forward to part 3 then. And this week we have Jane again, of course, who will continue where she left off last week. We will have Greg on, of course, Cindy again facilitating this week. So a quick infomercial. Let me just pull up my screen here. And where are we? Sorry, it's okay. Everybody can see this, right? Here we go. Oh, hold on. Oops, sorry. I forgot I have to share the video, the audio, I mean. I apologize. Hold on 1 second. Share the screen. And where is the share sound? That's it. Okay, so here we go.
You need a new contact center platform, and you need a partner who will help you improve your bottom line, not leave you in the dust. The good news is, Sharpen will show you at least a 5 to 15% ROI within 60 days. If we don't, you can have your money back. And here's how we'll do it. First, we'll get a baseline of the data from your current platform so we can start measuring the gains from day one. We'll get intimately familiar with your operations, your goals, your needs, and your priorities, and we'll make sure that our agent-first tools are tuned to hit the bullseye. Next, we'll train your frontline agents to use our web-based omni-channel tools so they can take better care of your customers than ever before. They'll have full CRM data, fluid movement between all channels, and real-time visibility into their performance toward the metrics that matter most to your business. See, Sharpen's reporting is great, like really great. You get full access to all of the data that's flowing through your operation and the tools to access and visualize it like you've always wished you could. With that level of insight, you can both coach your agents to keep getting better and get a clear picture of that 5 to 15% ROI that I mentioned earlier. This is the perfect opportunity for you to modernize your operations, improve your agent's performance, and see real improvements to your bottom line. And like I said, if you don't see it in 60 days, we'll refund your money and we'll part ways as friends. At Sharpen, we believe that happy agents make happy customers. So let's get to work.
Well, thanks, Marcia, and thanks to the Sharpen team for a great infomercial today. And it's interesting that we talk about ROI, and that was a perfect topic. Thanks. Chuck, a word from our sponsor.
Okay, real quick, by the way, that was a pretty clever, very well-polished, professional-looking infomercial. Good job. As you folks may know, this is the final week for renewals for both VAC members and consultants. So if you haven't received your reminder call, it will be coming shortly. It's very important for us to get our budgeting done, is to have all our renewals secured. Also, just an announcement that on the 17th of February, this time slot will be taken up by an SCTC consultants only business meeting. There will be a letter going out explaining to all the members why. Keep your eye out for that. Hopefully it doesn't end up in your spam folder. But there's going to be a business meeting, a discussion meeting using this slot. So it will be open only to SCTC consultants, voting consultants. So just mark that on your calendar that will, if you're not an SCTC member, you will not be joining that particular week. That's all I've got, Steve.
Okay, thanks, Chuck. So Cindy, you ready? I'm going to hand you the share screen. You ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thanks, Cindy. Okay, take it away.
All right, give me just a second here.
Okay, and thank you, Chuck, for that.
Okay, can everyone see this?
Sure can.
All right. Well, thank you for coming back and joining us this week again as we review some of the ways that auditing and expense management partnering can help your practices and help improve your bottom line. We talked last week about how 2021 has been declared the year of the audit. There was a quote by Eric Kraft that we are using to help us with that, the title that we're giving 2020. Enterprises are looking for 2021 as a year of a new reality, pressure to reduce cost and services underutilized or no longer the right fit. So, as I said, we've declared this the year of the audit. In this context, an audit is a thorough inventory and review of communication technology services, including the use, cost, and contracts that are involved. Businesses are looking to tighten control of their spending after last year where they had to implement services off the cuff and just get things up and going for people working from home or for the increased workload that they had. So audits will help increase our business as well. And so what we want to do is provide some ideas for partnering before, during, and after your client engagement. So what can audit expense management consultants do for you? Now, throughout this presentation, like last week, we're going to have this guy, we call him Ward Cleaver. He will pop up and say, what's in it for me? This is here to help highlight the areas that we're showing that there would be benefits for non-AEX consultants, VAX members, and others viewing this presentation. So watch for this image throughout our presentation to understand what's in it for me. So for non-AEX consultants and for VAX members, you can look for ways to expand your business. You can engage new clients. You can engage with existing clients on new projects and help them identify areas for those new projects. And also increase your revenue. So last week, Jane had started her presentation, so she's going to continue that, talking about how AEX consultants' expertise in managing bills, contracts, and inventories will help you to form long-term relationships with your clients. So take it away, Jane.
Okay. Thank you, Cindy. I'm Jane Leno with Dig4 Group, and I want to shout out to Laura Sikorsky and Dick Kaufman, who I haven't seen in decades, and I see they're on the call. So great to see you both. So the point of this is not only to say what you're helping with clients with, but the idea was to explain how you can add long-term revenue to your communications technology consulting practice. And we've seen this. I think I left off by saying that my firm Dig4, when we started out, we did both technology consulting and expense management. But about 20 years ago, we focused the firm on exclusively on expense management. And those are the clients that I've seen have become the stickiest, to use that term. So we could go to the next slide, Cindy. So, and I had shown this, Cindy had this slide set up so each level would unfold, but we're just going to look at the whole thing very quickly. And these are real world client examples of our long-term clients. And you can see very, very long-term. A foreign government purchasing arm, 39 years. They're our longest term client. A New York City-based hospital system, 22 years, and several global law firms with global networks, 26 years. And again, the point is, these all started with a communications bill audit of some form to show them how much money we could save them. And in case of one of the law firms, we got them out of $1 million liability with MCI at the time. So you could, there was always some kind of a big event, which is, in part luck, but it's almost always findable in terms of what you can uncover. And again, each one started with the audit. So that's the point we wanted to make with this slide. So on to the next, Cindy. Oh, anybody have any questions on that? I mean, I'm kind of going a little fast in the interest of time, but any questions? Okay, so this just explains what kinds of things we're doing on a regular basis for our clients. We audit their communications bills monthly. We identify and correct billing errors, and we recover refunds where possible. That's getting harder and harder, but you can still do it. We track the savings, of course. We review all their communications contracts and keep track of the terms. We remind them when the contracts are coming up for renewal. So that gets us consulting work, helping with contract language and interacting with the service providers. In some cases, we help them manage their service changes anywhere from placing the actual orders for them to writing up the orders for them to place themselves. We keep all their inventories up, and this is for fixed and mobile and soon to be cloud communications. And then of course we give them reports demonstrating economic benefit. I mean, that's one, there's always the thing of what have you done for me today? So that's in general the kind of program that we offer our clients. And of course, everyone has its own unique little twist. But as you can see from the preceding slide, it tends to hang in there, so and last a long time. So on to the next, Cindy. Now this is a sample of what we call our economic benefit summary. And so this is a long-term client, one of the global law firms. So every quarter we meet with them. Just sort of coincidentally, we happen to have our quarterly meeting, which also was like for the whole, looking at the whole of 2020 with this client yesterday. And I felt so good about it. I didn't present it, one of my colleagues did, but we stepped through the underlying issues that created all these savings. And then we looked at this report, and we've had this client for so long that he's just kind of, any questions? Nope, I got it. He keeps nodding his head. We're happy. In the beginning of the engagement, he might have been rolling his eyes and not getting it, but now he's like, yeah, I know what you're telling me. I appreciate the value of what you're doing. And this gives him a report that if someone else says, well, what are you paying Dig4 for that he can show them this. And I'll just briefly, you can see up at the top, we have the refunds totaled for the year, the savings totaled for the year. And by the way, this particular client lets us carry savings over for a few years, 3 to be exact. So if we save them money in 2018, we can still count it in 2020 because they are still saving the money, but then after 3 years, we drop it off. So, that helps the numbers to look even better. So we have the benefits on the top 2 rows, and then below we have what we're actually charging the client. We have fees, our fees for direct activity with refunds and savings. And then there are always other things that you do with the client for the client that don't directly affect. That's kind of hard to track actually, but we try and we show them that. So up at the top, like in 2020, they're actually, I'm going to look at 2019 because 2020 I think is a partial year. So in 2019, we saved them 269,000. Our total fees were 56. So then we show them the net benefit. And then below, we kind of keep track going back to 2007, which is when we started tracking in this way. So this report or some variation of it always seems to go over well and gives the client some good ammunition if anyone starts asking about what are we being paid for. And I should mention with this particular client, we bill on an hourly basis. We have a number that they're comfortable with that we bill every month. It varies a little bit, but this is not a contingency engagement. This is hourly, but as you can see, it more than pays for itself. So
Jane, Jane, how much more would you have made or less if you did contingency, do you think?
Well, I haven't done the math, but I would say we probably would have made 2 or 3 times at least what we're making with contingency. So contingency is always, well, almost always you make more money with contingency. Mm-hmm. But as I think we've moved, in the beginning, we did a lot of contingency audits, but we've kind of moved away from that now to more of the ongoing. So is that smart? I don't know, but I found in New York at least that there's getting some resistance. Some people have had bad experience with contingency. Yeah. So people like this, and we get a good hourly rate. We're
okay. What moved you to that model?
Well, we've incorporated an expense management hosted system into our practice, and so one of the selling points of that as well, if we're not going to double dip, so to speak. So if the hosted system is designed to uncover errors as they happen, pretty much, and so the theory, at least, sometimes errors still happen despite the hosted system, which could be a whole other presentation. But for the most part, that's why we made the change.
Great, thanks.
Okay, so would love to talk more about that. And again, one of the points here that we want to make to the group that's listening about partnering is each of the consultants that are doing the audit and expense management as their practice focus might operate in a different way in many aspects, service delivery, approach, but also in the way we charge for the services. So, and then this is my last point here. If one of the challenges, if you're not used to helping with audit and expense management, is how do I start the conversation? So here I'm just providing a link to No Jitter, and these are some articles I've written on behalf of the Sctc to talk about billing craziness, issues with communications contracts that you need to pay attention to, and issues with maintaining your inventory. And just as a point, inventory, I mean fixed, mobile, and cloud-based services. So if through this link, you could probably get some good talking points. And we're also going to give some talking points at the end of next week in terms of maybe questions you could ask your clients to start the conversation as to whether they might be interested. So that's it. Cindy, thank you very much. Thanks, everybody, and always open to conversations if anyone has any interest in pursuing it or just questions. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jane. I'm really impressed with the length of your client relationships. You're definitely doing something right.
Yeah, it amazes me too. But we like them all. We only take clients that really want us to make some money, and that we got along with. You know, we're very fortunate in that regard.
Well, this demonstrates how well auditing and expense management services work. Clients will keep you around for years, and in Jane's case, even decades. And next, we're going to have Greg Pittman with Pittman and Associates. He's going to give us some key points on maintaining your client relationship by staying in front of your clients. Take it away, Greg.
Okay, thanks, Cindy. I'm going to quickly discuss some advantages to keeping yourself in front of your clients when you're adding an audit to your portfolio of services. And you know, this is really important, especially now, as your clients are frequently receiving messages directly from vendors offering to help them reduce telecom costs. In fact, I got 2 messages just this week. I know several of you did as well. So it definitely is the year of the audit. So, you know, and an audit involves data gathering, but not just bills, right? I mean, it's also usage information that we find out, what's the seasonal effect on their business or other things that, you know, have an impact. It also helps you get a real holistic view of their operations. So maybe you're already in there working with them on different projects, but this is another way to just get an even bigger view of how things are going. So the what's in it for me part from Ward Cleaver, as Cindy said, this really is going to help you stay top of mind between the projects that you're doing with them, right? I mean, you want to be the one that they call when they think of something else. So if nothing else, this keeps you top of mind with them. Also, you can add value to your client's overall business, as you know, as they realize that you really do have their best interest in mind. You know, you're working with them on specific things, but now, you know, you're coming in with this audit, and they see that you're wanting to help them save money and grow their business. You know, that's just going to help your relationship. Additionally, you can help your client grow, maybe by finding funding for some new initiatives or new projects, whether it's something that you've realized that you ought to bring up to them, or maybe they bring up to you. So you can help them grow by using the audit as a way to find some funding already in-house that they can use for that. Okay, go ahead to the next slide, please. So a telecom expense management, or TEM audit, is going to provide some ongoing involvement, right? I mean, this allows you to stay in the loop as the primary consultant. You're aware of your client's projects that may come up during discussions and that sort of thing. So, you know, this way you can really add value with your experience through your advice and direction and skills, you know, that you've already shown them by helping them with other projects. So it's just adding value, again, you know, through the audit and the expense optimization. So, you know, through the audit, you can also learn, like I said, new initiatives from the research with and talking with the client and their staff. You know, maybe you have more opportunities to visit with them, and it's not just on one project that you're working on, but it's a little bit broader. So maybe more projects and so forth come up that you hear about. Okay, next, please. So by keeping yourself in front of the client in this way, you're really going to gain the confidence of them. You can hear their plans, you can expand on them. You may even be aware of an impact that a certain idea they have may affect the rest of their business that they hadn't thought of, right? So a few examples that I've run into, we were meeting with the finance department, and they just happened to mention, well, you know, we're going to bring accounts receivable in-house. So we were able to quickly use a parked toll-free number that we had for them already in their inventory, and help them use that. And it was a good number, right? It was like an 800, when nowadays you can't get anything like that. You're down to the 844s or 833 and so forth. But we were able to help them get a toll-free number they already had and get it up and working so they could start marketing it right away. Then we got to work on helping set up the call flow, but that really helped them get going sooner with their clients, right? To make this project work well. Another example was with a public sector client that I worked with. We were doing some data gathering, asking questions, different departments and so forth. And we found some shadow IT. You've probably heard that term before, but it's not official IT, right? So in this case, the department was using Google Voice. And the reason was, in fact, it was the public relations group for this organization, because they wanted a separate public telephone number, primarily for the press and so forth to use, that they wouldn't call them directly on their DID that the organization had given them. So they wanted to set that up so it would go to their DID, but that way they could monitor it better. They also wanted a voicemail to email functionality. Now, this organization had that capability with their phone systems, but they hadn't rolled it out to everybody. So here's this department, we've got this need. They just went out and solved it themselves. So as you probably are aware, the danger or the downside to that could be, extra support. Here now you're supporting something that the IT group didn't even plan on, right? I mean, an extra cost. Maybe they had a solution that wouldn't have cost anything, but now they're paying this additional cost. And then also could be a security issue, right? So it's just all things you need to think about. And, as Martha would probably point out, there's all kind of discovery issues and data retention. And, now you've got this department kind of doing their own thing. So now you're aware of that and you can help the client see the danger or see how to mitigate that.
So Greg, let me put you on the spot here for a quick second. So one of the things I think that always important whenever we're partnering with one another is a sense of the same culture, right? So it's not just about the technical skills or the auditing skills, but it's also about, is there synergy, between the firms or amongst us? So I'm thinking, as I'm seeing this slide, like, what would you do as Greg, not the whole group here, but as Greg, what would you do, if there was a technical consultant involved here and brought you in on an opportunity? How would you, blend yourself with them to create the synergistic relationship and, get the client to feel as though you're part of their group, so to speak?
Yeah, that's a great question, Steve. So, I think I would probably try to, just at a really high level, acknowledge their situation, probably not go into a deep dive on what could be done, right? Because I wouldn't know, right, what the primary consultant, the one that I'm partnering with, might have done or already, maybe they're already aware of it, right? But, I can at least acknowledge it and, hey, let me let Steve look into that and see what he knows about that, that kind of thing. Or it could be that, in this example, Steve, I'm partnering with you. Maybe you're in the meeting, right? So we can just play off of each other in terms of, yeah, that's really important. Have you thought about the security or the data retention aspect of this Google Voice or whatever? And then, maybe I look over to you and, well, so, what do you think? Do you want to pose a solution for them or a way around that sort of thing? So.
Yeah, sure. Good. Yeah, and I think each of us too I think this is important again for partnering, is the fact that, what's my mission statement? What are my values? And how do we relate between the two companies so that, again, we can help create, synergy, because I know there's always a romance period, for lack of a better word, as we start the relationship together and want to ensure, listen, I think the goal is, I've been thinking about this the last couple of weeks. I think it's a real easy add for any technical consultant to add this to their practice, as long as there's a synergy as well as, relationship with the client. And I think I think it's a huge win-win for everybody. It's almost like, additional income really without having to do anything in a way, So again, there has to be some ramp up here. There has to be some relationship build. But yeah, I think this is conceptually, I've been thinking with 3 of our clients in the last week about, things that, we can do with an audit that I never even thought about, so.
Yeah, and that's a good point. And, obviously 2020 and even into 2021, it's hard to get those relationships and get to know each other. I mean, this has been great, these fireside chats, 41 of them already. But I have reflected myself a little bit on partnerships with others in the SCTC. And it's always been because I got to know people, whether it was at an SCTC event, regional or a global event, or maybe it was, just at a conference, at a vendor conference or at Enterprise Connect, that sort of thing. So, getting to know each other is really the key, as you said, to get to know that we do have that same value set and that sort of thing. So that's a good point. Yeah.
And just another question, is there any time where you walk into a potential opportunity, and it can be direct or through a partner, that you just say up front, looks great, but they just did an audit 12 months ago. I don't know if we really should take this on because we're not necessarily going to see an ROI. Have you ever seen that at all?
Well, yes. And, I guess the way to even potentially sell that to the client is, especially if it's a contingency, right? Or maybe you do on some other way, but, look, if we don't find anything, that just lets you know, and you can tell your management, right? I mean, you're doing a good job. Right, we want you to be a hero here. I think that would be the case with everybody that I've met within SCTC. Right, we're not in there trying to get rid of somebody's job. So, don't worry about that. I mean, it's very likely we would find something. I mean, we're not going to guarantee maybe, but we're going to make you be the hero. But worst case, you can now go to your management and say, look, I got a good handle on things.
Right. No, I'm just thinking out loud. Is there ever a time where it's not worth it? You know what I mean? Like we kind of brainstorm ahead of time as a partner and we say, what are the basics that you need to understand? I mean, probably 99 out of 100 chances are probably profitable, but there's always that, a few that may not be. I mean, is there any kind of, not contingency, but just a way of making sure it's worth your time? You know what I mean? Because again, what we never want is, you accruing X number of hours, not seeing anything as the partner, and then your net is $10 an hour, as an example. Right. Being facetious, of course, but.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I'm sure that's going to happen at some point. I don't know that I could give you a certain level of when, well, if you go over this, it would or it would not make sense. I don't know. I'd have to think about that. But I mean, it just seems like, maybe through the partnership, you're able to see some creative ways to still make an impact for the client. But that's a good point.
Okay, great.
Okay. Cindy, go on to the next slide, please. So as we've talked about, doing an audit can mean and does mean frequently meeting with the client. And again, that could be just with the auditor or maybe in partnership with the client, right? So this gives you, first of all, an opportunity to hear of new projects and ways to stay involved with them. And then second, the primary consultant, it is able to enhance their trusted partner relationship. So, again, as Steve said, we would hope that we have the synergy between us as partners so that, we're playing you up for your relationship and advice that you're able to give your client that you have been. And we're building on your role, as an advisor with ideas and solutions, that sort of thing. And then it also provides you a really short runway to really get up to speed on things. So, maybe like in my example with that finance department, maybe they didn't even think about, we should go back to the main consultant and see how to do this. They just, oh, well, we use AT&T for toll-free numbers. Let's go get one. And I've had them do that, right? And I'm like, well, why didn't you just ask me? I mean, I had some great, what I think are great numbers, right? A lot of repeating digits and all that sort of thing. They didn't even think about that. So they ended up with like a subpar number, right? So anyway, it gives you a short runway to get up to speed on that sort of thing. So, so overall, adding these audits to your portfolio can really provide you with an ability to maintain your client relationship. So that's all I had. Thanks, Cindy.
All right.
So Cindy and Greg and Jane, just a quick question from me. I've always been, as a consultant, a little bit reserved on doing contingency for the reason that whenever we got engaged with a client, it was always about a one-off with the client, not about a relationship. And that's not to say that contingency is not a good thing to do. It's, clients can be kind of, funny in that sense. Let's say, you hit a landmark, for lack of a better word, refund and, credit for the client, et cetera, and money back. And they feel that, it's been taken advantage of. I'm sure that's never happened to any of us, but, how do we counter that? How do we counter that kind of feeling?
What I've done with clients, typically I'll have maybe a 2-year term on contingency, but before the end of that, I will transition over to more of a retainer where I'm doing a monthly management for them.
Okay.
And that has given me time to have a track record with them and to show them the value of what we do on a monthly basis. And usually it's lower than what they're paying me contingency wise. So it's an easy transition to that role. And then we just continue that ongoing.
Okay, cool.
Steve, this is Art. A couple things. First of all, if a client's on hourly and you bring up contingency, that's a difficult type of situation because they're accustomed to one way of doing things. So first of all, you may not even want to provide contingency based upon how you think they would handle that. Mm-hmm. But on the contingency basis, the way that I think it's very, the way to put it into perspective is to say, with an hourly or fixed rate engagement on an audit, the risk is actually borne by the client, because if there's nothing found, then they will pay, X amount for essentially little. However, a contingency audit the risk is now on the auditor. So they carry the risk. So it's a risk-free type of approach. And so when positioned that way, the thought of contingency becomes much more attractive.
Cool. Okay, great.
I'd agree with Cindy that the contingency is sometimes the way to get started. Not always, but it shouldn't be contingency forever. And I know some consultants, I don't know if members of this group, but do keep on with contingency forever. But I think the clients get a little uncomfortable with it as some years would pass. So
It's Gary. I have one quick thing. There's also a blended way to do this, and that is you can go in on a fixed rate for the audit, and you can say, hey, if I hit X amount of money, $200,000, we get a pro bono of X amount of percentage of savings going forward. So you can get a blended type of a rate, and you can turn this into a win-win for everybody. Because again, if you are working off a contingency where you have a shot at getting a bonus money, you're going to work even harder to go and make that happen, which is going to make the person that brought you in, the person in the organization, look great to their bosses. I mean, without a doubt, that's a win-win situation.
That's great.
Chuck Vondra just asked a question about what is the going rate of the percentage.
Yeah, good question.
I'd kind of say it's all over the place, but you could still sometimes sell something for 50%, but it's likely that it's going to be less than that.
Yeah. So by the way, Mark Fletcher did put a comment in a little bit earlier. He had to leave a little bit early, but he was saying he would like to see 911 somehow incorporated also in these audits. I think that's a great way, again, of, looking at what they currently have, so another avenue for paving the way, so to speak, so cool. Okay, awesome.
Good idea.
So, Cindy, I know you wanted to take the last 5 minutes and share some thoughts.
Yes. let me switch to that real quick. Hold on a second.
Sure.
All right. Oh, sorry. There we go. Okay. I was going to show a presentation on a client dashboard that I've developed for my office, but since we are running short on time, I'm going to postpone that and present that at our next session next week. But I wanted to give some more information for those that may be interested in engaging an AEX consultant. We do have monthly meetings. Typically, they're on the first Wednesday of each month. In February, we're actually going to move it to the second Wednesday because we're doing the fireside chat next week. So just keep that in mind, but all SCT consultants and members are welcome to join us, and feel free to reach out to me and I can send you the Zoom credentials so that you can connect in. Also, keep an eye on your inbox for some tips that we're going to be sending out that will show you how to discuss auditing and expense management with your clients to help generate interest. And then you can bring one of us in to partner with you and to help explain that better to your client. Then we also have the SCTC website, the Find a Consultant, where you can go and search for us. And you can also reach out to any one of us directly. This is where we go on the SCTC website. Click on Find a Consultant, and then if you'll check the expense audit management specialty, then that will pull up a list of everyone that specializes in this area. And also, we just wanted to give special thanks to all the contributors. I know there's 6 of us primarily that are speaking and making presentation here, but there were several people that were involved in this effort. So we wanted to acknowledge everyone, and all of these people feel free to reach out to if you want more information. We'd be happy to work with you.
Okay. Well, thanks, Cindy. And I think this has been a great hour here. Any final questions from anybody before we conclude, at least for the week? Hey, Dave Michaels, I saw you were on. You always have a question or a thought. Oh, maybe not. Maybe, is he really that quiet today? Who knows? That'll be a first for me. Hey, thanks everybody for joining. We'll end just 3 minutes early today. Looking forward to seeing you all on next week. And by the way, in 2 weeks, we actually have Eric Kraft on. Okay. And he'll be talking about 2024 and that's going. Okay. So you don't want to miss that. Okay.
Thanks, guys.
That's great.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.
Thanks.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye now.
Silent
Bye-bye.
Sam saying goodbye.
See you
Goodbye.
I'll get the camera working for next week.
There you go.
Yeah, there it goes. Okay.
Steve,
Yes, sir.
give me a
Rick.
call when you get a chance.
I will.
I'm going to talk to you about Studio One music software.
Okay, sounds good. I'll call you soon. Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.